Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Cryptocurrent. Your host here, Richard Carthon. And today I got a very special guest all the way out in Bulgaria. We got George. How are you doing today?
Hey, pretty well. Thank you. How are you, Richard?
Oh, man, I'm doing great. I'm excited to learn more about Limechain, everything that's going on with that, and to learn a little bit more about you as well. But before we get started, how about you give us a little bit of background about yourself?
Absolutely. My name is George Spasov. I'm co-founder of Limechain, and Limechain is pretty much one of the leading professional services companies in the blockchain space. We have had maybe closing to 90 different projects in terms of consulting and development, which is I wear this is badge of honor. And I personally have been involved with the vast majority of these. Before that, prior to that, I was going into the enterprise world. My first encounter with crypto was essentially when I got into the Consensus Academy. And I was one of the people that passed it with the flying colors. And after this, we founded Limechain, and the rest is history.
Awesome. Well, definitely looking forward to learn more about what you have going on with Limechain and how y'all are able to create it all. But what was your first introduction to the crypto blockchain space? How did you first learn about it? And then what made you decide, all right, I'm definitely getting all in on this right now?
Yeah, it was quite a lucky break, I guess. I have a great friend called Denitsa. She founded a startup called Propi, and the startup called Propi actually turned into blockchain in order to make real estate tokenization. Pretty much they wanted to tokenize the deeds, and they wanted for the deed properties, property transfer processes to go through blockchain. And she introduced me to blockchain and said, hey, there are not many developers that can do smart contract coding. Can you do so? And I decided to start looking into what it takes to do Solidity coding. And I found some friends together with me, and we decided to start some coding. And out of this, we found that, hey, there is a lot of demand for this. A lot of people want to smart contracts developed, dApps developed. And out of this, essentially, was born Limechain. So it was a kind of lucky break for somebody that just luckily said, hey, why don't you look into this Ethereum thing?
Awesome. I mean, around what year was that, roughly?
It was beginning of 2017. It was a little bit prior to the initial ICO boom.
Right.
So it was right around there. It was the time when, for example, Bancor was doing the ICOs, Status was doing ICO, the initial ICO boom.
Right. And why I like to ask that question is because, you've seen the roller coaster that is the crypto blockchain space. The rise up to Bitcoin's first all-time highs of near 20,000, all the way back down to 3,000, all the way back up to 10 to 12, all the way back down to 3 again, where it is now. It's over $30,000 as the day of this recording. When I first started Cryptocurrent, and we were going down the bear market from 2018 even to early 2020. One of the things that I really appreciated about the guests I would bring on the show were just building stuff to last, building it to actually work, not really just trying to go out and, raise as much money as you can and then try to make your quick buck and dip out, actually building something for the future. And I know that's at Limechain, that's what a lot of what you're focused on is making sure that the projects that you work with are built to last and survive the test of time and are going to be here, for the future. Can you kind of speak a little bit to, how you're able to create this company and what y'all do and how y'all are helping to, further that commitment to creating something that lasts?
Yeah. I'll take a specific point that you meant there about that you said there about the bear market. So essentially, you remember after the initial ICO boom, there was a huge crash of the crypto. Right. Ethereum was at one time at all-time high, 1,400. Then it went down to $80, I think. And what was interesting is that from day one, what we decided in Limechain with my other 3 co-founders is that we are actually going to filter out the people that we work with to projects that are actually have, I'd say, not that monetary, long-term look into the blockchain development and blockchain as a technology to provide value for their service. So we were kind of lucky at this time because when the cryptocurrency market crashed, essentially a lot of professional services company had to lay off a huge percentage of people. We were one of the pretty lucky ones that we did not lay anyone, but we were able to actually steadily grow a little bit, even in the bear market. This is something that we were and we are still very proud of, and we attribute this to the filtering criteria. The more that we were filtering, the more interesting use cases were there for Limechain, and we were actually exposed to unique innovations. We were exposed to, for example, meta transactions and relaying of transactions all the way back in 2018, when a little group called Meta Cartel now actually exploded into a fully fledged DAO that is giving grants. But we were one of the first people in there that we were talking, hey, how can we do this relaying thing? How can we improve the user experience for people? How can we have a better tools? All of these things. So I say most of what we were doing, we were doing like focusing on the blockchain as a value proposition, not that much as a monetary proposition, but as a technology that brings value to businesses and to end users, to people. And we were also focusing on tooling and raising as much as we can our expertise as innovators.
That's awesome. And just like you said, the fact that during that time you were able to grow and find some really great projects that are, set to have a really, really good trajectory into this next decade. If you can you speak to the services that you're able to provide? So after you vet and you make sure you find some really good opportunities, what are the expertise and skills that you're able to bring to these projects?
Yeah, well, this evolved in the time that we were during the years. This evolved. So obviously, it started with smart contract solidity development. So we were able to develop different types of solid smart contract, not only tokens, not only crowd sales, but different business logic smart contracts, which most of the smart contracts in 2017 were essentially crowd sales for tokens. But we were focusing more on the development side of the smart contract, on the business side of the smart contracts. And we were able to actually get a deep expertise in this part. And a lot of companies were coming for us in order to build a business models on top of Solidity smart contracts. And also Viper, we added Viper to this. Soon after, our clients essentially said, hey, guys, you're great, but if I hire you, I also need to hire somebody to do my website, and I need to hire somebody to do if I need a backend service, for some reason. So we actually, in this time, we decided to add these things so that our clients can have like a one-stop shop with us. And we were able to start proposing solutions that are not purely smart contract based, but essentially cryptography based, if this makes sense. Stuff like layer 2 solutions, like rollups, like Plasma, like state channels. We had the honor to be able to implement this technology in working projects with some of our clients. So historically, we evolved from these smart contract builders into full blockchain system builders. We were also approached by several other networks apart from Ethereum. We started building stuff for EOS, we started building stuff for Eternity, we started building stuff for Polkadot. And essentially after this, it came also building of tooling. So we are now also, apart from smart contracts and business applications, we are also building toolings for different chains so they can be easier and more developer friendly, if this makes sense.
Yeah, no, it makes a lot of sense. And, the use case of being able to build that, before we got on the show, one of the things that I think really resonates is as you're building all this out, making sure it's very secure and making sure that it is done properly and with a good foundation, so you don't have to go back and do double work. As anyone knows that works in the startup space or the tech space, not building your platform on stable footing and having to go back and do technical debt is a big challenge. So I believe that's one of the main things that y'all focus on, is making sure that a lot of that piece is set up properly, but then also the business side of building out the business enterprise is also taken care of. Absolutely.
And this is something, again, important about professional services. I think professional services in general have quite a good rep, but I don't think that they're fully appreciated. But what's important for everyone to know is that if you have a professional services company that does smart contracts developer, it's essentially blockchain development, you're essentially hiring people that have done it They have done it in other projects that they have taken other projects to life. And most of the time, when you decide to hire, because there is this huge starvation for blockchain developers, you essentially are finding a person that probably has comparable skills or coming from different direction that now transitions into blockchain development. And you know that blockchain development has its own different ways of thinking, its own different ways of breaking stuff, its own immutable ways of you have only one chance to deploy to mainnet. And the more experience you have with this, the better you know where things can break down. And I feel that here is where the professional services company can excel just based on experience of the things that they were able to do.
Yeah. And I think that's great. I mean, you bring up a really good point of, in a lot of jobs, you have the ability to learn and mess up and be able to recover from it. Whereas on blockchain, if it's immutable, just like you said, you mess up launching to mainnet, that's a big deal. That's a huge setback, and you can't afford to do that. So that's really, really important point. And, something I do think people without having that prior experience wouldn't even really think to know to have that basis when building something out. So thanks for bringing that to our attention. But, with everything with the professional services and everything that's going on, how do you see coming from a year after COVID, and as the world is becoming a little bit more connected through being able to work remote and everything else, where do you see this type of work going in the future?
I'm massively optimistic towards the blockchain space and the blockchain development as a whole, because it is like the signs are there. The giants that are buying cryptocurrencies in order to hedge. You have seen more and more enterprises adopting, or at least trying, dipping their fingers into blockchain in order to solve like age-long problems that they were not able to solve previously. So I'm massively optimistic. For me, 2019, 2020, if you look at through the enterprise lens, these were the years where enterprise was like dipping their toes. They were like trying stuff, proving some concept, stuff like this. And for me, 2021, and 2022 are going to be years that I think we're going to be looking forward into the blockchain space, into the blockchain development as a new tool that was undiscovered, unearthed to this point, that is going to solve problems that were like very hard to solve previously due to trust issues. My favorite quote from one of the leading experts in Ernst & Young is that the blockchain has the potential to do for the inter-enterprise communications the same disruption that enterprise resource planning ERPs did internally for the enterprises, meaning that ERPs enabled enterprises to know what the left hand does, and the right hand knows what the left hand does, and the left hand knows what the right hand does. But this does not happen between companies. And now, when we are connecting ecosystems, you need this trustless layer that's going to allow company A to know what company B does without disclosing too much information, without placing authority and power in a third party that is going to synchronize them together. And this is where enterprises are now starting to figure out, hey, there is something that is going to be beneficial for all of us here. Let's figure it out. And we have seen it in 2020 that like a lot of proof of concept around this concept were there. I know that one of your previous guests, John Wolpert, probably spoke about this, but that there is a wonderful think tank activity like work group baseline protocol that it's awesome, especially for enterprise. In terms of DeFi, like the blockchain development for public networks, I think DeFi is here to stay. We can see it in the prices. Even if the things break down, I think that the foundation is so sound fundamentally that the thing is here to stay, I think.
Yeah, I agree. You touched on a lot of great things. I mean, just like you said with John, talking about baseline protocol and having, two companies whose tech that you don't want to reveal to each other, but still letting them talk and getting the information that you need to reach consensus and to show that it's really there, I think is super powerful. And once that's figured out and is being implemented, that's going to just vastly make business dealings way better as we move forward in the future. I agree that DeFi is here to stay. It's not going anywhere. It might still have some, from a price standpoint, fluctuations up and down, but foundationally, what has been built is solid. On that, as you kind of take a bird's eye view, as we kind of step into this next decade of, tech innovation and even economic innovation, as the world is paying a lot more attention to cryptocurrency, and blockchain is now being seen as a useful technology to build infrastructure on. Where do you think we're headed as an industry as we kind of look into the future?
I think that the blockchain world is turning a hopeful eye towards Ethereum 2.0. I don't know when this is going to happen, but I think that this is a milestone that has been the more and more I see it in white papers, in conversations, that, hey, whenever ETH 2.0 comes, we're going to do X. So the more and more people are waiting for this to happen. So I'm very hopeful for the time when ETH 2.0 is going to drop. Also, I'm looking forward to more and more interoperabilities, because different chains, and not even blockchains, you can have hash graphs. They have specific use cases, specific strengths that are not present in anywhere else. So I'm looking forward towards interoperability between these networks. And I have seen multiple networks, even our clients, that are now trying to figure out how they're going to interoperate with each other and making a huge progress. So for me, I'm turning a hopeful eye towards ETH 2.0 and towards interoperability between different chains, because a lot of smart people have worked on different chains. And when we have the chance to combine them together, I think the thing is going to explode.
I agree. It's amazing what happens when you start building bridges between islands, and interoperability has been a hot topic that I've spoken with a lot of previous speakers about in 2020. And it sounds like we're getting closer and closer to that being an actual reality. And I think that's coming a lot sooner. And I've always been personally bullish on Ethereum. And again, everyone listening, this is not financial advice, but I've always been an ETH fan. And, there's so much being built on top of it that it's almost one of those things where it's kind of too big to fail. But at the same time, too, if everything lines up and does what it's supposed to, there are you could see just so much happen so quickly, because you'd have the right things in motion for these companies that are building on top of it for it to explode. So I'm pretty excited about that as well. But, George, I really do appreciate you spending some time with us, dropping all your knowledge with us today. But what is a final thought that you want to leave with all of our listeners here today?
Well, the final thought is that blockchain is here to stay. The blockchain development and the blockchain as a value service is here to stay. And keep believing, keep digging, keep building, and we are all going to make it very, very soon, I believe.
Absolutely. Well, again, thank you so much for sharing with us. What are some ways that people can connect with you and also can learn more about Limechain?
Yeah, well, you can find us pretty much in any social media, but let's say Twitter. You can find Limechain at Limechain HQ, and you can find me at Spasov.
Perfect. Well, again, thank you so much for spending some time with us today. And for everyone listening, stay cryptocurrent.